Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for The Brother's Son Season 1 on Netflix. And I really enjoyed this show. It worked very well. It's a really good martial arts action kind of series, and it just works very well on that front, with also having good characters and good plots and motivations going on. It really kind of surprised me because you could see the trailers and be like, okay, we've got this, we got two brothers, Charles and Bruce. Charles being within the Jade Dragons of the Triads in Taiwan and Taipei, and Bruce being his brother in Los Angeles and being kind of away with that with their mother Eileen, and all the different kind of things that kind of work when their kind of worlds converge. Because, I mean, shit, the opening one, we get Charles doing baking and everything and watching the Great British Bake Off, and then he has to, like, fight all these people that are trying to kill him, and they're like, what the fuck's kind of going on? Before we see that his father comes in to see who these people are, thinking that it's Sleepy Chan trying to make a play for his shit, before he gets sniped, and he gets wounded, and it's like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? Because they're thinking, it would have been easier to kind of go for you at a different kind of place. But it shows that he really has skills a lot, and it really sets the tone for the action scenes in this series. They work phenomenally well. There aren't a lot of weird, jumpy, kind of strange edits or jump cuts or whatnot. They do as much to showcase the actions and how the characters work out as well. Because we get Charles, who has the nickname of Chairleg, and we actually see a flashback of that whole thing and an understanding of that, and him actually doing it again. Now, granted, we don't see him actually go through it on the second kind of one, but we see the aftermath in the chair. Like, it works. You're like, holy shit, because this dude wants to be a baker, but he's being utilized as pretty much a brute level violence enforcer by his father. And you can tell that's all he really thinks that he's good for and useful for. Bruce is on the kind of opposite end. He follows his mother, but he also wants to do his own kind of rebellion of being in an improv group. He's studying to become a doctor and everything and all this stuff that goes on with that, but he's doing this improv behind his mother's back, utilizing his tuition money to instead do everything with that. And having to get into trouble with that. He gets together with his friend TK and pretty much is trying to do this kind of thing of helping out with this whole drug scene, which introduces him to this crazy kind of chick of May. And we then also get introduced to her sisters. Well, there's like a lot of interconnected people that start to kind of like fall together, because Charles comes to LA because his father was injured. He has to go find his mother because of the kind of insurance protocol. As we see them kind of going through, and us learning that Eileen is in this world and knows how to do all these kind of things. And it's funny because they're like, Mom doesn't know how to do this. There's like an assassin's body that they have to dispose of, that she disposes of, and like tells them where to kind of deal with it. She gets information from her mahjong people, and it's funny because Charles is like, this is stupid, because he's been only taught in the brute force kind of way. His mother is very much more in the cerebral kind of tactical kind of way to do things, which we also see Bruce kind of start to utilize as well. Even though he hasn't really seen his mother in this kind of action, he starts kind of taking moves that are kind of reminiscent of her, as we see her trying to figure out who this giant assassin is, how they're kind of connected and all that. And a really kind of cool thing is, we think this is an inner triad kind of thing going on. But then, of course, the other shoe kind of drops towards the end as we are introduced to another group, the Boxers. And it wasn't really said off if they were inspiring their name from the Boxer Rebellion from history, but it really kind of felt like it because of how their whole kind of instance was kind of going up against the Triads, and except they were pretty much utilizing the same kind of tactics, because we see them going through, and Bruce is like, I really don't want to have anything to do with this, and we see Charles trying to have to figure out what's kind of going on, setting up a meeting with Sleepy Chan to figure out, shit, this isn't Sleepy Chan. Also trying to figure out churros and how they're kind of similar to, let's see here, Utao. I'm mispronouncing that, I know. But it's a similar kind of deep fried Chinese kind of food that's similar to a churro, and he eventually at the end perfects the churro, which is really kind of awesome. And that's the thing. He is very duty bound and to protect the family and do all this stuff for the family, where Bruce he's been doing the same kind of thing in different kind of manners, trying to follow and be the kind of doctor. He has had to do so many makeup tests throughout this series. It's fucking insanity-inducing. But see him kind of fight with that. I really empathize with a lot of the characters, even though I'm not in the triads or anything like that. I'm not in the criminal underworld, but trying to be yourself, you do your goals. I mean, shit, there was this big kind of moment where Bruce is trying to figure out and go through with his mom's like, we got to do this, and she's like, no, I wanted this, because we get to a point where pretty much we get the triads called, and she wants to be elected as the Dragon Head, the one that coordinates all of the triads from behind the scenes. It's like she gave up everything and scrubbed toilets and did all this kind of shit for Bruce, but she wants this. It's like, shit. And you find out that you don't really know these people that well, and it gets nuts. And I love seeing all the different kind of character interactions as it kind of goes on. This just was very well executed to me. I would highly recommend it because you see all the different kind of interplays. You see all the characters have good motivations, even though you would not agree with certain actions they take. They align with the character and the motivations that go on with it. The only weak link is Alexis Kong, the love interest / deputy DA that tries to pretty much link up the law enforcement aspect. She is the only kind of weak character that only pretty much gets brought in with plot demands kind of stuff going on. Pretty much getting Charles out of a pretty much killed I'm going to get killed and or arrested kind of situation, and then pretty much utilizing him. But she still works out as a good character because she's got the same power-hungry motivations as the Triad people that she's trying to take down, which just goes to show that she still plays by their kind of rules. Even at the end, when Frankie Ma, I think, one of the triads that they were able to capture, pretty much was making a deal of if you get Big Sun, their father, because he wanted to make the play to install Charles as the Dragon Head instead of the mother because he could control the son. So you're essentially just doing that. And Eileen even essentially came and addressed the meaning to that before we pretty much got a three-way of SWAT, boxers, and the fucking triads going at it. That was really cool. Great action scene. Characters getting into crazy situations. Charles then being put in the situation where his father is just a conniving fucklord and orders him to go kill his brother. It's like, do I betray my father? Do I not? And then having it kind of fall out at the end and seeing how it kind of works out. I do hope they get a second season, but if this ends just at this point, I'd be content, which is good that I've got content and kind of closure, but I'm like, I kind of want to see more of this because I like the actors. They do a phenomenal job with all what they're doing. I love the stories and the characters and the actions. You get to see various different kind of ways. You even get Charles doing similar John Wick kind of stuff, but it doesn't seem like an aping of it. He was bred for the violence aspect, and he is doing a tactical situation during this whole kind of kerfuffle going on. I don't get enough chances to use that word, sir. Kerfuffle going on with the triads and the boxers and the SWAT, and it just... When action scenes are well done, it needs to be acknowledged and showcased and be like, action does not need to be dumb and mindless. It is an important and vital act for any story. It should not be cheapened down to be like, oh, it's a dumb, mindless action scene. That's only done when either the directors or the story or the writers don't understand how to utilize the action. Like in Star Wars or Star Trek. I mean, I know that's kind of crazy, me jumping to sci-fi, or Lord of the Rings. Actions have their purposes. You see the duel between Vader and Luke Skywalker, both in Empire and in Jedi, and it shows the differences in how Skywalker was young during Empire and not as trained, and then he has better handling of himself. And even within that kind of part, he chooses not to fight Vader at the end. That is an action, even though it's in an action scene of, I will not do this action. Star Trek. You see how certain people react and do stuff in certain situations. Klingons will go buck-ass forward, bat-lift like a motherfucker, going, "Hi-yo, motherfucker! I'm coming for my honor and my duty." And then sometimes you've got this Federation. It's like, we will stand back and do this in a different kind of way. It informs and showcases the characters. And you're probably like, those are some weird ones to kind of bring up as action ones, because usually you'd be like, okay, what about other kind of actions? John Wick, I've definitely expounded upon those ones and how they do a very good job of showcasing action. Die Hard is another great one, because John McClane is a down dirty everyman, i.e., he does not do this well. He will get into a fight, he will get his ass whooped, but he will still kick that other motherfucker's ass and sometimes even kill someone. Him going through the whole plaza and then getting to the point you see him battered, bloody in the tank top, his feet wrapped in rags because he stepped on glass, because he's fighting a motherfucker. That is a good progression, because you see that kind of stuff. You see Charles wounded, fucked up, all the scars. Alexis finding that kind of stuff out, but then seeing him bake and how well he bakes. Because that's an important thing as well. You showcase the characters through all these different kind of things. You showcase how he handles violence and how he approaches it. And towards the end, we get him into a kind of better position where he is going to go and do stuff with his bakery, but after he goes and supports his mother in Taiwan. Again, showing that he has kind of learned, but kind of hasn't. He still sticks with that. And I totally get that. Him being an eldest son, me being an eldest son as well, I really gravitated with him on that one. But I also gravitated with Bruce and wanting to be himself and do his stuff, because he has fun with the improv. We see him continuing to do the improv and how it allows it, how incidentally acting and doing weird kind of off-the-cuff stuff and acting allows him to be himself. It sounds wrong, like it's like you shouldn't, like you find yourself by acting like not yourself, but it works. And seeing how he kind of deals with this, and he makes plans that kind of fuck up and go awry, but then he can, the greatest kind of aspect of him in this is, even though he is done as kind of a fuck up, and even his friend TK as well, the hallmark of understanding a character is not understanding what happens to them when their plans go right, but when their plans go wrong. Especially with him and Eileen, because they are still able to get everything kind of done at the end, because the thing is, Eileen didn't completely go on the warpath until she went back to kind of understand the ghost, because she was the Rolodex. She had all the information on who all the triad heads were. Pretty much painting a target on her back, but her is an insurance policy of, if you come after me, I get you all. She learns that her sister died of pancreatic cancer, and that the one kind of stipulation she had before she kind of like was the hideout security policy was that her husband would notify her on any of that kind of thing. And she goes and she takes down his empire, and at the end, when he is pretty much in police custody and Alexis is pretty much utilizing this to secure kind of upper power for herself, she then also pretty much puts it in his chart that he's diabetic and has them pretty much pump him with insulin to pretty much have him in pain and unable to speak. There are worse things than going and murdering and maiming and killing people. She knows how to tactically hit somebody. She's not just immediately going to kill someone or maim someone or torture someone. And Michelle Yeoh does an amazing fucking job as Eileen in this. I mean, they give her one great action scene, but it's not great in that like she completely kicks wholesale ass. She is the cerebral one that does stuff thinking tactically. She had a down dirty fucking kill fight that she had to do, kill or be killed, with Zing, who was sent by the father to finish what Charles couldn't. He was sent to kill Bruce, he couldn't, and they tried to figure out what was kind of going on, so Bruce and the rest were able to concoct this whole kind of thing, and pretty much wound the father, get him to call an ambulance, get him locked up, and Eileen was like, fuck you, I'm doing this, I'm becoming the head. and it was just chilling to see all this kind of stuff going on. I could go into greater detail on certain kind of episodes or whatnot, but I would just highly recommend this to you. Now granted, there's violence in here, blood, guts, not like really horrendous, not like complete slasher movie / slasher porn kind of shit, the torture porn shit. It doesn't get into that kind of stuff. TK gets like his thumbs crushed, he gets fucking beat to shit. There's some gnarly ass shit, so there's a lot of violence in this. But I would highly recommend it because the action scenes are great. The characters are awesome. The plot is great and moves very well. The pacing wasn't complete. There wasn't really any pacing issues for me. This didn't feel like a movie that was chopped up. It just worked. I would definitely recommend this for a lot of people. It just works. And also, the cultural aspects are delivered organically, and you like learn more about Chinese culture and everything like that, and how these triads work and operate, and the community aspects as well. It just was very awesome and informative. Now, there is parts where they talk in Mandarin, Cantonese, so you will have to do some reading on that. So have that in mind. Hopefully you're able to work it out like that. If not, that is going to hinder you because they speak in Mandarin and sometimes Cantonese, like very sporadically. But I enjoyed it, and it worked well enough with how the subtitle speed worked. There was only certain kind of aspects where it went a little bit faster than I would have liked, but not to the point where I completely and utterly lost the plot. I just really liked this show and really enjoyed it and had fun, and I hope that they continue it and maybe even make more series like this. It does. I don't mean that it needs to be copy and pasted, but like get good action, good characters, good plot working together in such a great way, and get actors that are able to make the characters come alive and just I didn't really find anybody that did a really horrible job acting. Only problem I had was with Alexis, and that was more with the character, not with the actress. And even then, it wasn't really annoying. I didn't have like a character that just annoyed the shit out of me. Like, there were characters that did annoying things, but I wasn't annoyed specifically by a character because of that character, if that makes sense. Like, you got your Jar Jar Binks, it's like, shit. Or anything like that where you're like, well, that's gonna create some fucking issues. No, I mean, it's really kind of crazy that they're talking about like the churros and the utile, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want. I looked up a recipe, and I'm like, I actually might want to try and make these to see what these taste like and everything. It's like cool. I love learning about things and being like, oh shit, learning about the intricacies of how these kind of things work out in the triad world, and how you see the differences in how familial dynamics work within these different kind of units. How Charles worked from being under his triad father in Taipei versus Bruce being under his mother in Los Angeles and everything. It was really a joy to watch. And I watched it with my family, with my mom and dad, and they enjoyed it as well. And it was really kind of cool to get us all together with that. And it was like, oh, this is cool. And just seeing all the craziness that ensued. So I would definitely recommend this. And if it doesn't sound like that for you, that's quite alright. And if you watch this and you didn't like it, I understand that. That's alright. I can like stuff and you don't have to like it. That's cool. And there's stuff that you like that I don't. That's cool. I don't have any problems with that. It's not for everyone. Not everything's for everyone, and that's alright. But I enjoyed this one, and I hope that Netflix doesn't do the usual kind of Netflix stuff that it does. I hope that this works out. So those are my opinions on the season. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.